I'm going to do my best to remain absolutely calm throughout this video. And yes, I said in my previous video on the risk to autistic safety that the risk is low. However, some certain new issues have come to light that are causing me to go a little off the rails. If anyone has been seeing on my Facebook or my YouTube lately, my getting angrier over issues that normally I would have just constructed an argument against, these are the issues as to why. You may remember in a previous autism video that I shared a bunch of sources about how the group Autism Speaks was causing problems and particular issues. Well, two new issues have come to mind since the incident when the woman killed her child and then when the woman killed her autistic child and then herself, feeling that she couldn't support her autistic child anymore. The issue has now crossed into areas where safety of the children is supposed to be maintained. A recent article by the Toronto Sun, and yes, before you object and say that the Toronto Sun is normally a rag and tabloid, I think that this is actually the first time they've actually reported on an honest news story in a long while. However, the fact that this came to light is a major sign that something needs to be addressed. Allow me to draw your attention to a recent article from the Toronto Sun. Social worker pleads guilty to trying to kill autistic boy. This was published on May 3rd, 2013. As a matter of fact, this was last year, and I only just found out about it today, a couple of days ago. London, Ontario. A 24-year-old man pleaded guilty to attempted murder on Friday in a savage beating of an autistic boy in his care. But a hearing must still be maintained to determine if Greg Simmerd is criminally responsible for the assault. Simmerd pleaded guilty to a total of 4 charges. Someone in the gallery sobbed while the facts of the case were read in court. The boy, 12, was discovered in the woods outside the Child and Peril Resource Institute, where Simmerd worked on September 9th, 2012. The facility treats children with mental health and developmental issues. After his arrest, Simmerd told police, "I did it for my country. He is a drain on society. His life is meaningless." Simmerd was working on a short-term contract as a developmental service worker. The hearing to determine if Simmerd is criminally responsible will begin Friday afternoon. Remember that I told you in my previous video, which I will be linking in the description, that the risk was low, but was still a very serious issue if it came forward. It has just crossed into the area of social work. Remember how I said that all of these things like Action T4 and that kind of thing would cause an influence on our society if we did nothing to check it? There's a sign that it's starting to manifest. Now, if this isn't bad enough, it gets worse. Allow me to share with you, straight off the Autism Speaks website, a major issue that's come forward. From its own website, Sesame Workshop, the group behind the nonprofit organization behind Sesame Street, announced today that it is joining forces with Autism Speaks, the world's leading autism science and advocacy organization. Let's now flip to the controversy that has happened with Autism Speaks in the past. Since their inception, Autism Speaks was the one who for the longest time, they are based on the mainstream view, the medical mainstream view is autism as a disease. This disease has taken our children away. It's time to get them back. Need I remind people that there are? Of the likes of Daniel Tammet, Temple Grandin, and even the rumor at one point that John Nash, who did have schizophrenia and yet still won the Nobel Prize in 1994 for the foundation of game theory and development of 4 different mathematical fields, including economics, was rumored to have Asperger's and certainly had mental health issues. So need I remind people that that mental health issues need not necessarily be a hampering on meaningful contribution to society. Now to top it off, they also for the longest time promoted the idea that vaccines and autism had a connection. They only recently, in the last couple of years, finally got around to rejecting that particular viewpoint. Also, they have been using high-level rhetoric, and I will be posting the Wikipedia article on them. But again, I strongly stress to people: go use the references, not just the original, not just the Wikipedia article as reference. Now, here's the thing: there's a campaign going on YouTube right now, which is called #EducateSesame. I would invite you to go look at this and see, and please tweet at Sesame Street to sever their connection with Autism Speaks. Given their history, their consistent history of anti-autistic discrimination, as I posted in previous videos about what they have done in order to try to promote the ongoing discrimination that is now in some ways leading to these these extreme incidents, and the fact that they are now starting to get into trusted areas, namely under social workers, people we are entrusting with the safety and care of our children and mentally differently abled in our society. We seriously need a public investigation to find out how deep this issue stretches. Yes, I am consenting the possibility that the risk may be low, but the fact that it has gotten into safety areas, we need an independent review. As soon as that independent review is done, we need to start taking precautions to make sure that it doesn't happen again, or that at least the risk is not only minimized, but is taken care of immediately. So this way we won't have this kind of, that we have much more stringent levels of care and review to make sure that this thing doesn't, we have stronger preventative measures against this in the first place. Finally, we need everyone to petition Sesame Street by tweeting at Sesame Street or putting up quotes with #EducateSesame to say we do not want the idea that autistic people are considered, yes, if we are, Sesame Street for the longest time has promoted diversity and tolerance of diversity. We cannot have discriminatory viewpoints coming in to infect Sesame Street, especially considering they are teaching influenceable young children. There, I've said my piece. Now you know why I've been going so. Apeshit over the last little while. Jenny McCarthy and finally, though Autism Speaks may have diverged from this, they are still promoting the ongoing discrimination issue, even if they have managed to finally get their head out of their ass about the vaccine-autism connection. But other groups are still promoting that issue, so the damage has been done, and we need to quote that one out as well. Autism does not need to be cured. Yes, it does need to be supported. Yes, there are weak spots. Yes, there are major issues and drawbacks for the disability factors. But we find support, and we find methods to work around the issue so this way people can live just enough of a normal life that if and when their savant capabilities kick in, and yes, I'm going to pull up another link for this, which I will share in the description, that 1 in every 10 autistic children, approximately, develops a savant capability of one description or another, a la Daniel Tammet. We have an intellectual resource base that could potentially help change the world. It is not, we do not need to cure a disease, to cure autism as a disease, especially considering that they might have, that on the pragmatic level, they might have a meaningful chance at contributing to society, and B, the difference in brain wiring actually creates an entirely different set of personality. This is not a disability, this is a different way of thought, and we should not be treating it, as something to be cured or euthanized like this social worker tried to do. I am tired of the discrimination that is going on in our society about this, and I want now that people finally start waking up and smelling the coffee, that we are now starting to see this spreading a little bit farther. For those of my friends who afterwards said that I was coming across as an alarmist or probably an alarmist, as I told them, I admit I admit that for now the risk is low. Statistically, that I admit for now the risk is low. But the fact that it is creeping into trusted areas, that risk is still unacceptable, and it's even more unacceptable now than it was before. So we need a public independent inquiry. We need to know what's going on, and let's see how much of an alarmist I actually really am. Thank you. I'm sorry I got mad about this, but we need independent scientific review.